Hello and welcome to Post-Burnout.com interviews. Post-Burnout.com is a culture website dedicated to venerating burnt-out artists the world over. My name is Aaron Kavanagh and I'm the website's founder and editor-in-chief. This is our website's podcast where we publish the full interviews from our site's articles and sometimes release exclusive episodes. In this edition of Post-Burnout.com interviews, Dublin-based Italian musician Donatello Comida of the grunge revival band Aryel discusses moving from Italy to Ireland to lecture at Trinity, her background as a grunge and riot girl fan in the 90s, forming her current project after a sabbatical from music, Aryel Moon's latest EP, Welcome Home, the place of women in today's rock scene, and much more. If you're listening to this on the day of release, Aryel Moon will be performing tonight at Jacob's venue in Dublin as part of an EP launch for Welcome Home. Tickets for that event are available in the description of this episode. Thank you very much and enjoy.
Yeah, that's
How are you,
fantastic.
Donatella?
Thank you. Very good. Thanks very much. How are you,
Yeah,
Aaron?
I've been very well. I have a lot to talk about with this project. It's very interesting. So, I guess maybe we could start a little bit about with your background, if that's okay. Like a bit about how you kind of got into music and things like that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, this takes us back many years ago, as I started as a teenager in the 90s. So that's, I guess, why we sound like,
Yeah,
it's the 90s again, because somehow, I carry the heritage with me. And I started, I think, like with the fascination with grunge, really. So really got to know bands like Nirvana would be, first love, and then after Sonic Youth. So
yeah,
it wasn't only kind of grunge specific, but very much influenced by Sonic Youth. And then I got to know. Well, first of all, I wanted to learn how to play guitar. I felt, I wanted to. I had something to express. I had a lot inside me, and I just needed to find the right way. So I grabbed what I had in the house, which happened to be a classic guitar. Uh, None of my parents actually play guitars,
just had it
so
in the house.
but it was sitting in the house. I can't even remember the status of the strings, but I started like that, and also started singing. Um, and yeah, I think from then I got to know bands like Bikini Kill,
Yeah,
L7, all the Riot Girl movement, and I felt okay. That's my pack. That's
yeah.
where I belong. This definitely punk, a huge influence. And then I wanted, of course, as every teenager does, put together a band. So the first band was a female band made with friends, and we were called the Watermelon Dolls.
The watermelon dolls. Were you
Yeah,
singing in Italian or English?
that's a good question. And because I'm Italian, I get, this asked a lot. I started out with a very, very bad English
Hmm.
because I didn't know English particularly well at that point. Um, and I had a complete rejection um, for singing in Italian. And I guess that was more because of my insecurities. So I think that for a while I didn't feel good. I didn't feel that I was a good guitar player. I didn't feel I was a good singer. I didn't feel like I had a nice voice. I really hated my voice. But all I knew was that I had a lot to say, and that what I had to say had to come out.
Yeah,
So of that, I've always been very sure. Uh, Through the years, I've actually, I think, refined my songwriting, first of all, and my songwriting both in Italian and English. So through a lot of pain and a lot of self-doubt, but eventually I made peace with me as a songwriter in Italian, and in English. You might want to know that it's like I don't decide in which language. It really depends on, I think, what gets created inside, or the inspiration. Um, and since I moved to Ireland, I started writing again. So it's natural, it comes natural for me writing in English.
There's a few things I can go from there. So I guess I'll start with this. I've spoken to other artists who, where English isn't their first language, but they write in English, and they say for them, it actually helps them kind of get more personal with their music because when there's that kind of language attachment, um, it's not as difficult to be emotional, or it's difficult to be like, is it, you don't feel like you're exposing yourself as much. Is that how it felt for you?
In that regard, I'd say not necessarily. Probably in Italian, my lyrics are, well, equally truthful, equally emotional. There's a lot of metaphorical references, symbolism in my writing, um, and I think it's it's more about the metrics and the sounds. I've been asked, I was playing a solo show in a small venue, and I've been asked, oh, would you be able to play this in Italian? I was like, no, like, because this song is in English. In my brain
Sure.
has generated that in English, so it's not. And I do have a few tracks that were never really developed in Italian that I think, oh, I could work around the lyrics and maybe, but then my brain goes a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's not. Um, in terms of the emotional layers, I think somehow, your native language, because it's the language that, for people that are not bilingual, for example, because bilingual
Yeah.
people or multilingual people will have this with different languages, but native languages might make you feel more exposed
Hmm.
somehow, or you are more self-critical
Yeah.
because it's your first language, so you're supposed to, you know, um, yeah, own it.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah, and I think that's true. Like, I've spoken to artists who, for example, from the Netherlands or from Norway or so on. They all kind of have that feeling too of like, yeah, when you do it in a second language, it's a little more easier to actually just express what it is you're trying to say.
Yeah, and sometimes I guess English makes things easier
Yeah.
from a grammar point of view. So, but for me, it's never a question of, oh, I want to write a new song, in which language I'm going to write it.
Yeah.
That was never my issue. It's always what comes out. And
I
yeah,
want to talk.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I
no,
want to talk about your background a little more. So, what's interesting is you were talking about, kind of being into the sort of 90s grunge and alternative music scene at Riot Girl as well. Um, Italy during that time was actually getting a lot of those bands coming through. Were they accessible to you where you are, or
they were accessible through friends, through copied cassettes.
yeah,
Um, Initially, and then later on copied CDs, and then we lost the cassettes completely, and then it was only CDs, and a lot of playing them together, which is something that I still remember with a bit of nostalgia. That time of your youth where you hang out with friends and you play music through whatever system you have, but
yeah.
it's a shared moment. And then it becomes, because this band is important for your friend, um, then it becomes important for you as well. And live shows. I was always the youngest of the group, But now in the music scene, I'm not the youngest anymore, definitely.
I can feel that too, yeah.
So, and because I was always the youngest, my friends all had a car, and by the age of 15, I was going to gigs, non-stop. I've seen, big bands and got to know big bands because of that. Well, like a lot of bands because of that as well. And I guess also getting along with people that were musicians. At that point, I thought they are the real musicians. I'm just like
Yeah.
here trying to make noise and destroy the world, make a revolution.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But you need that when you're a teenager. You need to be like, I'm doing a revolution because that's what sparks you on, I think.
yeah, and that's very much still um, in the soul of Aryel Moon.
Yeah.
Because that sense of let's, go out and fucking make a revolution is still there. So that hasn't changed for me. I haven't, I mean, I've been domesticated somehow, and in some areas of my life, of course, because
Yeah.
I'm an adult. But I really truly hope that even teenagers and more young people listening to this music, can find the same effect that I
Yeah.
found when I was a teenager and I saw, Sonic Youth. They were over their 30s, they were, towards the 40s, and they were so cool. I
Yeah.
wanted to be like them. I wanted to be on stage and be so cool, be able to um, communicate so well with whoever was down there. So I think, I hope that somehow this um, this fire, is perceivable.
Actually, that's an interesting point. So how do you think, like, because the style of music that you're making now is very similar to what you would have made as a teenager, but just in terms of like the lyrics, how do you find that maturity and growth has kind of made more of an impact in terms of like what you're trying to say? Because, I was in punk bands as a kid, and I look back at them like, thank God that stuff never was released because it wasn't as well thought out, but it had that indignation, that kind of like frustration and anger that, teenagers want to express, but I didn't have the worldview or enough experience to be able to make it something that's actually worth consuming. So how do you find like the maturity kind of has helped that process of actually communicating?
Yeah, maturity gave me a very important, it's not really a gift, but um, it's a recognition that I don't care as much as I used to,
Yeah,
right, about it. So I don't feel that I need to like meet standards as I think, I think I have less pressure over myself compared to when I was, a teenager or when I started writing. Um, and also, through the years, I learned a lot. And I'm also a creative writer, so writing, and I'm an academic, so writing is very much part of what I do in general. And I guess, this plays a role. But nonetheless, I guess feeling less pressure to, be good or, to be a good songwriter, but at the same time, being very willing of improving yourself, challenging yourself, and never think you are arrived yet,
yeah,
right? So it's all elements at play, I think, and where where I'm now, and I look back, I do have, many lyrics, or even, just melodies, and I say like, oh, like really.
yeah,
But others, it's like, okay, I see that that was the gem, or the seed, and
yeah.
now, there's an
The
evolution.
germ, yeah.
The journey, yeah, there's an evolution, and um, yeah, I guess, for the lyrics, actually, I was just chatting with somebody about the songwriting and the decision to put a cover of PJ Harvey at the end of our, EP,
Yep.
which is, kind of a bold move. We also have a song called Nevermind on the
Yeah.
EP, which just like,
Which I think is really nice to cite your influences like that.
in a way. And we were chatting about the songwriting and how, you know, the songwriting in Shame, the song that we covered,
Yep.
is not far off the songwriting of, our original songs. And I was like, yeah, there's a lot of course, influence from PGR as well, but at the same time, I guess it was also like, say, okay, that's good songwriting, great,
Yeah.
happy about that. But I'm also very, as I said, willing to improve more. So I've been attending songwriters workshops, festivals, and explored co-writing, because I never feel that my creative process is, completed.
Sure.
There's always more to learn.
No, I think that's important for people to know that because, like, yeah, I think like when like people in their 20s think, oh, like, yeah, I have it figured out now, like this thing, but it's like you're always growing as a person until the day you die, and then it's like you're always gonna like retrospectively look at the things you put out, and kind of even if it's just like a year ago, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe even a year ago I was thinking like that. So I think it's kind of important to know that your process never completely finishes, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It never, and it shouldn't. It should never finish.
No, it's a beautiful thing to be able to grow. I want to also ask, because you mentioned the PJ Harvey cover there. PJ is a very interesting artist because like she was around during the same time as like the grunge movement and the riot girl movement, and she wasn't considered part of either of those. But like to
Mhm.
me, I think if you listen to like Rhythm Me, it's not too dissimilar to what they were doing. But I think there are artists like PJ Harvey, Liz Phair, Juliana Hatfield who kind of were around that same time, but didn't really fit neatly into those scenes either. But I think their music is very similar. Another interesting thing, I think, because you mentioned the Riot Girl kind of music, and I think you heard this in Ariel Moon as well, is um, you know, people remember the Riot Girl movement as like Kathleen Hanna shouting and like really fast, aggressive punk music. But the bands like Bikini Kill and L7 also had like a lot of like slower songs and a lot of songs where the pace and the speed came down and they were like focusing on the lyrics and emphasizing what it was they were singing about. So I really do. I love that side is also represented by Ariel Moon as well. Yeah, I was wondering like if you could talk specifically about the influences of those artists, because when I was listening to the EP, your vocals actually kind of remind me of Brody Dale from the Distillers, who kind of came out afterwards. So yeah, I was wondering maybe if we could delve into that a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, is that a question on the kind of vocal influences?
Oh,
Or
anything like
okay.
music, vocals.
So I I started screaming, like literally, my singing was just, screams,
Yeah,
as loud as I could. It took a long time, in terms of defining the singing and, make peace with my voice and accept it for what it is, and then eventually like it for what it is. And I think in this sense, I know that you don't hear it necessarily, but a huge influence was from Kim Gordon,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
from Sonic Youth.
yeah,
And and you might say, but you don't sound like, there's not the same type of singing, but it's the intention behind the singing. Okay. So it's really, and if you take Kim Gordon, and the way that she addresses the lyrics, the intensity, the authenticity. It comes very genuine,
Yeah.
right? Uh, and punk rock, alt rock, well, grunge, nobody really cares too much about perfection in the pitch or the, it's more about what you are able to communicate through your voice,
Yeah.
and through all the different layers and shades of your voice. If you think about Kathleen Anna, and she's still great, Bikini Kill are still great. I was so happy to be able to see them 2 years
Oh,
ago
I
in
wanted to see
Glasgow.
them so bad. They didn't come here.
Oh, look, I mean, I booked tickets when I was living in Italy, and they, were touring again, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then COVID happened, and then they canceled
Oh, yeah.
the show twice.
Yeah.
So, but then eventually I went to see them in Glasgow, and they were great. And, the singing, uh, you know, of some front women and singers from the Riot Girl movement, or also, Grand, Cat Bieland, okay,
Yeah.
Babes in Toyland,
Yeah.
another great influence I had. It's really the power, right? Is the power. It's this, intensity that comes to you
Yeah.
and blows your face off. And then in the lower, like, or slower moments or tracks or songs, then you can feel the softness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that embedding both dimensions uh, is really precious.
Yeah, no, the interesting thing, like you were mentioning Kim Gordon there, like you think of like a song like Karen, um, or some of the slower songs they have. There's one I can't think of the title offhand, but it's from one of their later albums from like 2006, I think. It's the one "You Keep Me Coming Home Again." I can't think of the title, but like Rena is it? I think. But like those slower moments, like where you really just hear the emotion. And what's interesting too, speaking about vocals, like you think of like L7 for example, and it's like you had three vocalists, you had Danita, Susie, and Jennifer, and they're you're getting three different vocal ranges. And one of my favorite songs of theirs was actually One More Thing, which is like the much slower, like kind of reflective song. And I think like that's something that like I think really distinguishes it from kind of just like aggressive sort of male punk rock where if you get an album of 12 songs, it's all just going to be like shouting.
Yeah. So there's a lot here that you're saying. Like, I think, first of all, yeah, there's the male domination
Hmm.
in rock in general, and the way that we think that female musicians and non-binary, because now it's not
Yep,
just, I'm very happy to embrace, the large variety of gender identity, but it's not just,
absolutely.
the female. But of course, I also use female fronted,
Sure.
as a way to define our band as well. But it's like either females, if they're aggressive, they are compared to the counterpart, so the male musicians, and in a way, we kind of lose of our beauty or our, I don't know, probably,
Sensitivity.
yeah, or our the place that we were
Okay,
meant
yeah.
to be because someone else has decided, we had to behave in a certain way. And at the same time, if you bring some softness and it seems that it removes um, the power, but it might remove the aggression or
Yep.
the aggressiveness, but it doesn't remove really um, what the need.
Yeah.
of
The
communicating.
drive.
The
Yeah.
drive. Yeah, thank you. That's the
Yeah.
word I was looking for. Uh, and I don't believe that punk is punk is not only, fast rhythm or distortion. Like punk is more an attitude, is more, a way of living things more than anything else. And then the distortion, the speed, um, that creates, the
Yeah.
yeah, the soundscape. But yeah, there's more than that.
Absolutely. There's a lot I want to talk about. So just before I go into Aerial Moon, I want to ask one thing. So you mentioned you were in a band in the 90s. So between then and this current project, what were you doing in terms of music?
Mm. So I've been, yes, okay, with Watermelon Dolls, we didn't really manage to go very far. But I've been in and out different bands, tried with different projects. And then had a band for a few years. Again, I was living in Italy, and the project was called the Dream Machine. We did few things with them, a couple of lives, and we got to record in a studio, but we never released. So it was interesting. One point, I thought to I was approached by someone in the music industry, um, and I think I didn't feel that was the right time. I didn't believe in myself enough. Um, so I didn't take the risk. Okay, I think at that point I preferred to continue with a more stable path in terms
Yeah.
of, my career and everything. But I've been, active in music in terms of songwriting. And then there have been, moments of not silence, but moments of not very much activity.
Mhm.
Then I moved city in Italy in around 10 years ago, and I had a big flux of, it was really like a flooding of songwriting. And then I decided, okay, I'm gonna start recording, through GarageBand. I want to learn how
Yeah.
to a little bit do things myself, which I did not in a very successful way, but
Yeah.
to the point I could record demos, and I was happy with that. But again, played a couple of shows, but struggled to find like-minded people, other musicians, and I knew that I could never be just a solo artist, because the music in my mind. So when a song appears, makes her presence in my mind or in my heart, depending on where it comes first. It's never like it's never only as it sounds with voice and guitar. So in my head, somehow I hear the band, I hear the song as a finished um, piece of art. I don't want to use product because
Sure. No, absolutely not. Art.
uh, so as a finished piece of art
Yeah.
that has other elements and other people involved. So I had this phase, and then um, through life and a very unhealthy relationship, an abusive relationship. Uh,
Sorry to hear.
then there was silence. Uh, our well, it's not the single that came out in May, Eulogy, that
Yeah.
that talks about domestic abuse and effects and the liberation from it. But so there was a silence, and that's it's not just a silence in terms of not. It wasn't an hiatus. It wasn't a pause. I really felt that everything was lost. and that part of me like was on loan, and I probably like it wasn't there anymore. But then liberation and freedom happened, and music happened again. And today, we're talking about this
Yeah.
because um, everything has not only started again, resurfaced, and just, came back to stay forever. So that's a
That's a
little,
great answer.
yeah, that's a little bit of the journey throughout. Um, and I was really, really grateful to have found my bandmates, Lucas, Stefano, and Nando, because what we achieved with this EP, it's like there's a lot of me and my vision, and I'm the composer and lyricist, but the songs are not just mine, right?
Yeah.
It's us. It's us. And that's the best part, to be honest. That's the best part.
Just let's go on. So we'll get to the EP, but before that, I just want to actually talk about starting Ireland. So was the project started when you came to Ireland, or had you kind of started before?
So Aryel has been my kind of stage name, alter ego, for a very long time. It hasn't been the first one. In the first place, with the watermelon dolls, I used to call myself Melody,
Yeah.
right? Um, and then at about probably it was, yeah, 2003, uh, and I was writing, and I got to some music contests, and I got to record in a professional studio. um, and I felt a shit, like it wasn't melody anymore. I wasn't, it wasn't the teenage age of 13 years old. So I felt there was something that needed change. So I thought, okay, how to call myself, because I would never call myself with my name
Okay.
on stage. Um, then, there were a few influences. Aryel from Babies in Thailand,
Hmm.
the track from Nemesis Sister, that had huge influence. And at the same times, also, the poetry of Sylvia Plath, and Aryel is this mystical, angelic,
Yes.
figure. Aryel is also moon, I think, of Uranus. And there were so many, and I decided to use the Y, spelling of the name instead of the I, just to combine the non-binary identity, and make it, more, well, closer to, uh, you know, to how I perceive myself. And yeah, so it has been Aryel, and then I came to Ireland, and there was, silence. But then, I started again. So I started going to open mics, and, I was Aryel. But then, you know, found my bandmates, and I thought, no, we need, you know, it needs to be a change. There needs to be a new phase. This is a new phase. This is a new project. It's really a new project. And then the moon came in. The moon has always been there. I'm
Yeah.
hugely obsessed with the moon, and this name reflects also um, me being a mother. And I don't want to reveal too much, but
That's fine.
but yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thanks very much. It happened a few years ago, but it's always,
Congratulations still.
yeah, it's always. And in a way, I think I incorporated something that, like a symbol that has been constantly, with me
Mhm.
forever is really probably the most representative, um, yeah, symbol, image, of also my music. Um, and I think, Ariel Moon gives you the idea of a new dimension or a different dimension.
Hmm.
It's in between Earth and the universe is a
Yeah.
connection. Um, and I think sounds pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. What inspired your move to Ireland? So actually, if I could just for when I'm writing the article, what part of Italy were you originally from?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Bologna, but my family
Yep.
is originally from Sardinia.
Yep.
So that's my background. And then I lived in in Italy in different places. Um, then I moved to Scotland. So I lived in Scotland, in Edinburgh, for 4 years. Um, went back to Italy for a couple of years, and COVID hit, and
Yeah.
then moved to Ireland 4 years and a half ago.
Oh, perfect. What inspired Ireland as a destination?
Oh, just my job.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. Musicians work in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
Have you found it here? Like, has it been good? Has it been bad?
Oh, no, lovely, lovely. It's fantastic. I'm settled. Um, I'm very, very connected to Ireland, and I think music is what connected me the most. So I came here to start a position as a lecturer in Trinity College.
Yeah.
Um, so it was the reasoning to move to Ireland had nothing related to music, right? But Ireland somehow was capable of play a major role in a sort of awakening and walking through, well, walking on the coast where I live. I live, on the north of Dublin.
Yep.
Um, walking along the coast, stepping on Ireland,
Yeah.
on the soil, I felt connected in a universal way to everything.
Yeah.
So something truly magic happened, um, and I felt inside me um, a sense of Irishness that I trust. Like, believe me, I can swear I would have never thought could be there.
Yeah.
Because Ireland was never, even um, when I was a kid, was never, among the places that you say, oh, I'd love to move to Dublin. It was always, I'd love to move to London. That was the plan,
Yeah. Yeah.
But actually, I found home. That
Yeah.
this is where I live. This is where I am, um, and somehow, because we get asked this question, but you're not from Ireland, you're not originally from Ireland. It's like, does it really matter?
No.
Like, I I wonder, does it really matter? Because this is home, for me. It's very
Yeah.
much home, and um, it has played a major, major role. The land itself, the people, the connections, the feeling welcomed.
Hmm.
That's it. Although that's not the reason why the EP is called Welcome Home, but there's also that in there as
Yeah.
well. You know.
Yeah. Well, um, I think that's like really nice and like one thing I'll say like I think like Irish people are very used to Italians. We for some reason we have like a pretty sizable like Italian diaspora here. Yeah, and I don't know. I always wondered if it was just like the Catholic link or something, if that's what did it. But yeah, one thing I wanted to pick your brain on, if that's okay, is how do you find the food here?
Oh, the food.
Specifically, the Italian food that's marketed as Italian food.
It's okay. Look, really,
It's okay.
like,
All right,
yeah,
that's
it
good.
is. It is. Have you ever lived in Scotland? Like,
Oh, okay. Well, if we're
no,
being compared to Scotland,
no, I adore Scotland. Scotland is
great people.
great people. And Scotland, if again, if it wasn't for Scotland, we wouldn't be here today talking.
Yeah.
Scotland has has a huge, huge, huge role in all of this as well. So yeah, but the food is good. Lovely restaurants and
Mm.
supermarkets, well furnished. So thank you. We're in Europe. You can feel this.
Yeah, we're not eating American food. That's that's a blessing. So talking about Welcome Home then, so it was EP you mentioned. This is your debut EP and it follows the first two single sales came out this year, Bluebell and Eulogy, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah, so like how long how long has this EP kind of been in the making for?
Mhm. In terms of songwriting, all the songs that are in the EP, apart from Shame, of course, which is
Yeah.
a cover, all the original songs and the previous two, they're all kind of recent songs in the sense that they were written in the past 2 years. So they were written here
Mhm.
in while I was in Ireland. Um, in terms of the making the EP is a couple of months really. So we put together the band around March. We played our first show together, Shine, in March, and then
Oh, sorry, March this year?
yeah, March this year.
Oh, well, okay. That's very
Yeah.
quick turnaround, right?
So yeah, and because the songs were pretty finished in terms
Mhm.
of the composition and the lyrics. So we worked on the arrangements. We worked the band dynamics and how we interwave
Yeah.
sounds, rhythmics and etc. But yeah, it has been pretty fast, right?
Yeah.
So if you think March, it's a bit over 6 months
Hmm.
because of course the EP was released yesterday, but it has been finished few months ago to go through this distribution platform and everything. So it's been very, very fast, and we are already working on a new thing.
Oh, nice. Well, let's talk about Welcome Home then. Well, first of all, I guess I'll ask you mentioned the other members in your band that were they did they have the same musical background as you in terms of interest? Were they kind of into the same music that you were into?
We share, yeah, some alignment and some influences, like being like Sonic Youth, at least for
Yeah.
me and Luca, the other guitarist. And so it's good, when you find, but they also have their own genres that I like, but I might not have as, you know, bigger influence. But Luca and Stefano and Nand as well, a little bit post-rock is, it's something that they like a lot.
Hmm.
And all the bands um, from, that genre. Um, Nando likes kind of more rock and hard rock and rock and roll, and I think it's cool because we have, well, I'd say, grunge. It's an easy one
Yeah.
because we were all influenced by it. I think that The difference is that they tend to be influenced more by the male bands, and
Yeah.
and I tend to be more influenced by female bands or female fronted bands.
Yeah.
Um, so there's this nice, combination.
Yeah. That's why Sonic Youth, I think, is a good bridge because, you can like the Kim Gordon songs, and they can like the Turson songs.
Yeah, and I think, Sonic Youth becomes really um, kind of going over a separation. They really can blend, they blend, um, the two styles in a perfect way.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm not taking sides, but if I had to,
If I had to.
if I had to,
See, I was always a Lee Ronaldo guy.
ah,
He always had my favorite songs. Don't know why. He was
I
just that was my preference.
Yeah, the forgotten. Yeah, no, no, right, right. But yeah. So no, there's a lot of alignment, but we listen to different things, which is really good.
Yeah,
So this comes out very much in the EP, because we are combining, different influences,
yeah.
and you might not in it like hear it distinctively, but it's there.
Yeah, no, and that's 'cause you mentioned like when you were writing like songs on your own, and then now that you're working in a band, the dynamic has completely changed. So, has that actually influenced you as a listener of music, not only someone who writes to kind of go, oh, you're taking that from that, like maybe I should check that out, or things like that, or just like kind of swapping things that swapping artists that like you guys like or anything like that?
Yes, yes. Yeah, definitely. Like totally. I'm very much within the indie scene. So I go to gigs, I try to go and see other emergent bands, um, because the Dublin scene is fantastic. It's really
Yeah.
buzzing and bustling
It's
up.
so big too. Like there's so many artists, like I can't even keep up.
Yeah, and the fact is that uh, most of the bands are so talented.
Hmm.
Really, like, the level of talent is astonishing. And that's great. So I'm always on the look for, what's new. Um, so maybe if they are not on top of things, then if have you listened to this band? Oh, let's go to see this other band. Um, and in terms of probably older bands or more established bands, I'd say I've been listening to Mogwai, for example,
Oh yeah,
more
yeah,
because of my bandmates,
yeah,
for example, which is good, because I think the diversity really creates. This is something I didn't have when I started doing music. It was very much, I would listen to NoFX going to school, and
yeah.
I only wanted, noise and.
That
Uh,
was the first band I saw live, by the way. No effects.
oh, they were great.
Yeah, they were the first band I saw.
But I mean, I think the variety and the diversity opens up and helps your creative process as well, and the
Yeah,
songwriting and the playing.
yeah, absolutely. So just well, I just had a few things I want to say. I want to get you in. You've been very gracious for your time. I don't want to take up too much more. Um, I want to talk about Welcome Home. Just I guess the concept behind it. It's a really great EP, and I think my favorite song was probably Right Inside Me. That was
Thank
like
you.
that was like really attention grabbing. I'll say. Um, if you want to talk about like the EP and kind of what you were trying to express on it.
The EP is a concept EP, and it's basically it's a journey through different stages of love. Um, and it takes you from the very early stages of desire and anticipation and hopes, through finding yourself home into the other. And so that's the chapter of Haven with Welcome Home. And then it goes down to obsession, right? Because probably something is not going as well,
Yeah.
well as you have had wanted. So there's this in between limerence and madness, really, of right inside me that is absolutely, and it's like that's that song, the what's behind that song is like a drill, is carving a hole, and I hope it comes across, um, because that's the intention, and that's the reflect. It's the representation of the feeling
Yeah.
that doesn't go away, stays there, and you feel almost possessed.
Yeah.
Okay, beyond obsessed,
Yeah.
possessed by this, and then of course this loss, right? Loss and disappearance. Never mind comes from an elaboration of being ghosted, really, as simple as that, and the lack of closure, and the grief that can bring. But it's a transformation of that grief in something, that somehow gives you peace, because at one point you have to let go, right?
Yeah.
You have to free yourself. And then we come to Shame, which is the
Yeah.
closing track of the album. And of course, we didn't write that song, but we loved that song. We have it on our live set list. And when we were thinking what songs, go in the EP, instead of putting another original, the thinking was, this is a song that we like playing. We love the way that we have arranged it,
Hmm.
uh, and it fits perfectly. It's really the perfect closure, even if we didn't write it. Lyrically, um, as the sound, the pace, it's a good, for us, it was a very, very good um, closing track for this EP. So the journey is, from the very, very, top, the highs of falling in love, to the lows, the very introspective, lows of shame eventually, because looking back, um, things haven't worked, but somehow the meaning behind Welcome Home is not just to tell a love story, but Welcome Home is a message, is welcome to this world, to our world, to Aryel Moon. This is home for you.
Hmm.
And we know that you can find, and I'm saying, like, this is the plural, you, universal,
Yeah.
you can find yourself here, because somehow you have lived what we're singing, what we're playing. Uh, Maybe differently, maybe, not exactly in the same sequence,
Same way.
but
Yeah.
definitely, we truly believe there's something purely universal in this album that goes to
I agree.
everybody.
And the final thing I'll just ask, I want to plug your gig, but before I do, the final thing I wanted to ask was were the songs on the EP written with that kind of structure and story in mind, or was it kind of like those were the songs you were writing anyway, and then once you stopped and looked at them, you're like, oh, I guess this could make a narrative.
So the narrative was there because the story was there. The sequence wasn't there. The order of the songs in terms of the songwriting, there's a sequential order of songwriting. So at the point of when the songs were written, but we were thinking, to include other tracks, and we were, and especially I was trying to have the vision of the album, and then I realized the the concept is there, the narrative is there, the story is there. Let's tell the story. And I think, it wasn't all predetermined in terms of, oh, we're going to do this album, and we're going to select the songs that fit this concept. It was more, the story was already there. So it was a
Yeah,
matter of choice. And, you can create an album in many different ways. But in terms of what we wanted to tell about that story, thinking about different chapters, different emotions and different levels of emotions. It really goes through, a wide range of human experience. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, Donatella. I
Thank
just want to
you.
plug finally, so the launch gig is November 28th, which was next week as on the day we're speaking. I'll get this up before then. But it's at Jacob's venue. Yeah, I've been there before. It's an interesting venue. It's like in the hostel, so if you go in, it's just on your right. Yeah, I was wondering if maybe you could talk about that gig a little bit and kind of what people can expect if they come along.
Yeah. So, we are ready to party. So
Yeah,
it's going to be a celebration. So we have very good friends playing with us on the night as a support, Drifting and Holy Light. So very grateful. I guess you could expect to, um, to find a um, different approach to music. So Drifting is John is fantastic and is a solo man project. But I assure you, you want to come and see him playing live. He plays whatever, like guitar, and he sings, and he has, his all keyboard and station, and it's fantastic. And Holy Light is a very, very great band. Of heavy alt rock.
yeah,
And then, of course, you will find us, I guess, the friends and the people that have showed up to other gigs. If you want to come, we would be absolutely grateful to see you there. You, Aaron, and you, whoever is listening,
you whoever's
will
listening.
listen. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's a celebration. A WEP is something pretty special,
Absolutely.
and we're very proud of it. But for us, the recording is fantastic. Rehearsals and the practice in the studio is equally magical space and time. But the live, when we play live, that's where the real magic happens, because that's when we are able to connect through music to other people. So that's that we hope to do more and more and more.
Perfect. And yeah, looking forward to seeing more and more and more in 2026. If you want to talk about your future plans a little bit, because you mentioned an EP and
Yes, so we are, of course, working on new tracks. So we already thinking, what's the new project, how it's gonna look like, what tracks are gonna come in. We don't know yet the format, but there's already, the there's already something brewing, and it's brewing fast, but we don't want to spoil it.
Sure,
So,
that's fine.
no, no, but not like in the sense we don't want to spoil it, even in accelerating too much,
Sure.
right? We want
Yep.
to take the time to enjoy the EP, to, continue building our fan base and connecting to people, connecting with other bands, which is, again, something uh, that we really, really value. Um, but there will be, something good
There's always more to
happening.
come.
Yeah, yeah, in 2026.
Perfect. Is there anything you'd like to have before we wrap up? Anything I failed to cover?
Well, I guess just say thank you for this,
Oh,
for
absolutely.
the
Thanks for doing
time,
that.
for the opportunity. It's really appreciated and never taken for granted. Um, so yeah, no, I don't have anything else to add. If not, listen to our music,
Yep.
come to our shows, and help your indie scene stay alive. Please, that's really, really, really important. We can't survive without you people listening and coming to shows and show your support.
Do you want to tell people actually where they can find you?
Oh, yes, uh, pretty much everywhere. So on Instagram, Ariel Moon music, and on TikTok, Ariel.moon.music. Yeah, you should go on TikTok and see.
I'll follow you right now.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's I'm having, great fun on TikTok, and actually, there's a lot of nice people that,
Yeah,
happen to come on the page and leave comments, and I'm a bit new on the platform, but I
yeah.
think, it's a good way
I've
to
had to
discover
stop. I
new.
just waste so much time just like looking at stuff, just scrolling.
Yeah, like I don't know if I'm a scroller or not, but
Yeah.
definitely as a way to discover new music, especially if you're young, it's
Hmm.
a good platform. And we're also on Facebook, um, on Ariel Moon Music. And we are working on the website, so it's gonna be live very soon. We're on Spotify, Tidal, Cubas. We are on Bandcamp. So yeah, almost everywhere.
Perfect. Thanks very much for your time, Dantel. It was lovely
Thank
chatting
you.
with you. And
Thank you.
see
Really
you again
appreciate
sometime.
it.
Take
Thanks.
care. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to that episode of Post-Burnout.com interviews. We're available wherever you get your podcasts, so we hope that you enjoyed and would consider subscribing, giving it a like on YouTube, or a rating anywhere else. We also have some exclusive episodes only available on Spotify, which features interviews with the likes of Kim Deal, Ron Mail of Sparks, Jacob Slater of Wonder Horse, Maria Kelly, Gavin Friday, and many more. So check those out if you're so inclined. Otherwise, thank you for listening and see you next time.